Today, we discuss Miro. Listen, when it comes to running client workshops, the dream, of course, is to get those creative juices flowing, right? But typically what ends up happening is thousands of hours get wasted because of poorly facilitated meetings. So I have Maya with me today. She's a consultant who runs Fortune 100 workshops, from leadership training to team building, and she has the insider tip on what makes things work. Maya?
Thank you, Jason. I've been doing this a long time. My number one tip is to bring everyone into that visual collaboration platform. So personally, I use Miro, and it's completely changed how I interact with the room. You have to give people a way to feel like they're in the room even when they're not. That's something you can do easily in Miro. Otherwise, they've seen the same slides and format 1,000 times.
Falling asleep, eyes glazing over, yawns, all that.
Exactly. When people follow me on the Miro board, everyone is literally going on a journey with me. We're adding thoughts, we're reacting, and we're voting for the best ideas. It's great.
Connective magic. I like it. That's MIRO.com.
No breaks. No breaks. No fear. No fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Welcome along. I'm Ian Brannan. A jam-packed show for you this week as we cover not just the Premiership but the Championship. We'll look ahead to the Premiership Pairs as well with our guest Ben Duffill, the head of the British Speedway Network live streaming service, and of course former promoter and team manager at the Redcar Bears as well. So it's been a big one in the Premiership. All 6 sides were in action on Monday. A big win for the BELLE Vue Aces as they thrashed their Roses rivals Sheffield 58-32. Well, we sent Lee Wild to interview Jack Holder. It was a risky strategy, but we got him.
We're not going to cry over it. It's one meeting.
Ipswich returned to the top of the Premiership after their win over Wolves for the second time this season. And Peterborough moved off the bottom of the Premiership table after a dramatic 46-44 win over Kings Lynn. Reaction to all of those matches. A look ahead to the Championship programme ahead. We'll find out more about the British Speedway Network, the work that goes into preparing for the meetings and covering life in the Championship with Ben Duffill, as well as a look ahead to action in the Premiership coming up on Thursday, which will be on BSN, the Premiership Pairs.
No breaks, no fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Quite a number of interviews to bring you this week on No Breaks, No Fear, and joining me as our special guest this week to look back on the recent action as well as ahead to the stuff coming up over the next 7 days or so is someone who this time last year was a co-promoter at the Championship club Redcar Bears, but this year is now one of the people heading up the British Speedway Network, and we'll discuss more about that service because we've got 3 matches coming up this week in as many as 3 days, Thursday, Friday and Saturday. So we'll talk more about that very soon. But I'm pleased to say joining me is Ben Duffill. Hi, Ben, and tell us about life at the other side of Speedway. You're not at the point of the season like so many team managers or promoters are, where they're frantically trying to find themselves reserves or guests or making team changes, all that kind of stuff. You can let everybody else get on with it now.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, but really enjoying seeing a different side of Speedway. I don't think there's anything I haven't really seen now other than maybe being a referee. So yeah, it's exciting to be involved in a new venture for British Speedway, and it's certainly keeping me busy, I know that much.
There's certainly a lot on, especially this week. We'll talk more about BSN and all the stuff that's coming up this week in just a bit. Let's start our review of things that happened on Monday night in the Premiership and at the National Speedway Stadium, where BELLE Vue thrashed Roses rivals Sheffield 58-32 in a hugely powerful performance at the National Speedway Stadium. The Aces putting on an impressive display and were 18 points up after just 7 heats as the Tigers suffered their heaviest defeat of the season. Brady Kurtz scored a 4-ride paid maximum for the home side, 11 plus 1. Mate Zagar adding another 11, and Charles Wright with 10 plus 1 bonus point, whilst Sheffield's top scorer was Jack Holder with 7 plus 1. We'll hear from Jack shortly, but first let's hear from one of the top scorers of that BELLE Vue Aces side, and a Redcar Bear as well. In fact, the Redcar captain, Charles Wright, with his Aces hat on, speaking to Lee Wild after that big win at the National Speedway Stadium.
Charles, amazing performance, 1-7 tonight, wasn't it? Is this the first time you think the Aces have really clicked together as a team?
Yeah, it's really good to see, and
obviously with Jai going to reserve, it builds his confidence up, and Tom, he rode really well tonight. The points didn't reflect how well he actually rode, and it's just a nice feeling. And Lemo gets behind us before the meeting. He knows how important obviously tonight is, because Sheffield have been going everywhere and battering everyone away. So to get a score like that over him was awesome tonight.
Personally, a really strong night for you. I know you're on a new engine. That seems to be absolutely firing.
Yeah, like I say, it's very hard to jump on something new and work the setup tonight. And no, I'm glad I got something working, but no, I'm just happy and winning Heat 15 as well. After Heat 14, I was a bit unlucky and I probably could have passed them both, but I just got a bit blocked out and it was a bit frustrating. But it was good to go in 15 and get the win.
That's twice you managed to beat a rider like Jack Holder. He was all over you, wasn't he? What was going through your mind? Could you hear him behind you?
Yeah, I'm experienced enough now, especially on this track, where the lines are and where you need to be at certain times. Jack, I could hear Jack the whole racing, but if I was just stuck on the right line, I knew I'd be all right. So.
And there's a lot of consistency around the National Speedway Stadium for you now. Is that something that pleases you? Because last season there was a few good scores, there was a few not so good scores, but you're a lot more consistent this year.
Well, that's it. It's took me a year or so to get set up round here and obviously trying different engines and seeing what works, but I seem to be getting a lot more consistent round here, which, like you say, last year I wasn't, so no, I'm happy with that.
And I know you've had some good news. You're going to be a dad towards the end of the season, so all the points money helps.
Yeah, no, I'm over the moon. I couldn't be. I think it helps being happier away from Speedway and in life in general, and it shows on the track. But yeah, I'm just over the moon with everything at the minute, and everything's going right for now.
Well done, congratulations.
Cheers.
So Lee Wild there with Charles Wright. Very happy Charles Wright, 10+1, and very happy BELLE Vue riders and fans as a whole, I would suggest. Sheffield, meanwhile, heaviest defeat of the season. Lee Wild, let's just say that he's got nerves of steel, because he marched into those pits and asked Jack Holder how he felt. Here we go.
Jack, tough night out there. How did you find it?
I think the score says it, really, doesn't it? Yeah, I really like BELLE Vue, but yeah, it's one of them tracks where you can either start off all guns blazing and have a cruisy night, or you can start off like we did and we chased our tails for a little bit, and yeah, I got something going in the end, which is always good, but yeah, too late.
Was it a lot different than the first time you came here this year, the setup, or what was it?
I think so. I think the first time we come here, I think it had a lot more dirt on it. I don't know, we come here quite early in the season, so yeah, I'm pretty sure. And then yeah, it was a lot slicker today, and yeah, I think it is. After all the heats, all the boys are saying we're spinning. But yeah, got it going in the end, but too late.
How'd you pick the boys up after that? What do you do going back to Owlerton?
Forget about it. Yeah, and just, yeah, we're a strong team. Maybe we needed this to kick up the bum. And yeah, we're not going to cry over it. It's one meeting. So yeah, just go back to Sheffield and yeah, keep the ball rolling.
Jack Holder can't wait for the rematch. Got quite a wait for it though. 25th of August before the two sides meet again, and then there'll be another one back at the National Speedway Stadium in September is the way those fixtures lay out. Let's hear from the two team managers now. We'll hear from Simon Stead in a second, but first the victorious Mark Lemon speaking with Lee Wild.
Mark, resounding victory for the Aces. You must be delighted with the performance from the 1-7 tonight.
Yeah, a great Speedway event and performance by the Aces. There's no doubt about that. We expected a tough challenge, and not to say the scoreline really reflected that it was easy. It certainly wasn't easy. The boys really dug deep and committed themselves to the duration of the meeting, and yeah, I can't be prouder of them. Great result.
Slightly reshuffled riding order tonight. You must be pleased that seemed to have worked out quite well. Jai coming back from injury, obviously riding at reserve, it seemed to benefit him.
Yeah, you would say so. I mean, I think the problem was Jai came back from injury too early, and his shoulder wasn't quite strong enough, and I guess a lot of riders can be sort of accused of basically sort of underestimating the pressures they put on their bodies and when they're in the actual zone and race fit, and they think that they take it for granted, shall I say, and it's human nature for a racer to probably think like that, and it probably backfired a little bit on Jai. But, a couple of weeks rest and, a few less meetings, and he's managed to sort of do more rehab and strengthen that shoulder. And, he came back firing really good in that reserve position. So he knew it's probably more pressure probably being in that position, let alone just looking at it as an easier option. So, that was a great performance by Jai. And Tom, he's earned his stripes, moved up to the team, and his points didn't really reflect on his performance. He rode with some mature sort of head on his shoulder tonight, and ended the night really, really strongly.
Yeah, and it's great work from the development that he's putting on, that BELLE Vue have put in. He's the first rising star to make it to the main body of a team.
Yeah, considering Tom was actually the last chosen rising star from the teams. It's quite ironic, really. But we've worked really close together, and I've enjoyed that sort of relationship with him, sort of seeing him progress and putting all the hard yards in, because he does work extremely hard behind the scenes, and it's just a credit to see him get some success and little rewards along the way. And
the trick is now to carry this form on to the end of the season and into the playoffs.
Yeah, obviously, the result tonight's great, but it's only one part of the journey, and the journey still continues. We're pushing for those playoffs. We know there's 4 really top-heavy teams that are jostling for probably the top place, I guess. But you would never underestimate Kings Lynn or Peterborough to get on a bit of a run and push for those places. But we're at the halfway stage now, and it's looking like those the top 4. I wouldn't say it's consolidated, but I feel like we're in a very good position, travelling well. I think we've had a few issues on the road, but we haven't actually had our 1 to 7 for a majority of the time, and I think that is reflected in probably not scoring enough or picking up enough points on the road, but that can soon change.
Simon, tough night for the Tigers. Is there any one thing you can put your finger on, or is it just one of those nights?
I think it's just one of those nights. You just get them every now and again, and we've met BELLE Vue on a really good night, and you have to give credit where it's due. We've met them on a good night, they've met us on a bad night, and that's why there's such a difference in scores. But we have to move on from it. We can't dwell on it. We've had disappointments already this season, but we've come back stronger from it, and that's we've already spoken about it as a team, and that's what we'll aim to do.
Does this change anything in your eyes, or is it just a blip?
No, it's just a blip. What can you do? Like I said, we've met a very good BELLE Vue team on a night that they were all firing, and they met us on a night where we couldn't get going. And we've showed already this season that we're good enough to come here and win. All right, it was against perhaps a different BELLE Vue team, but we still have enough in our tank to get a win, and we've showed on more than one occasion this season that we're good enough to go anywhere in the league and do the business. So look at the way the league's shaping up, the fixtures that are going different ways. I think Wolves have lost at home tonight, which the fixtures and results are all over the place. So we have to draw a line under it. We were unbeaten last month, so we can't read too much into it, and we'll come back stronger.
Are the positives to take from it though? Holder seemed to find something towards the end. Cook scored 6, had a decent night after some troubles for himself. There are positives there.
There are a few. What I would say is the boys never stopped working. They worked hard all night, and I know our points didn't reflect the effort that we've put in, but sometimes that happens, and we go again. They're as disappointed as I am. We feel for our fans. So many travelling fans. We're obviously super disappointed for them as well. But we can make a promise to them right now that we will continue to work hard. And like I said, our focus now goes on to the next match and to come back stronger.
Simon, thanks very much.
All right, mate. Cheers, man.
Simon Stead there saying that Sheffield will bounce back from this and come back stronger. Ben Duffill is with us. Now, The boss of the British Speedway Network live streaming service and former team manager and co-promoter, of course, himself in British Speedway and rider, might I add. Ben, sometimes these fixtures happen, don't they, where they don't quite go as planned, but did you really see a massive hammering of that scale heading Sheffield's way at the National Speedway Stadium?
No, I think I was as surprised as everybody, really, to see that result. I mean, BELLE Vue are a really strong side, but, you know, it's such a fair track and a track people love racing at. It's really difficult to get any home advantage there. So to beat Sheffield, a team that strong by that many points, it sets down a real marker for the rest of the league to show that, you know, they're certainly a team that are contenders for the league this year. But great performance from the home side, and it's Sheffield are certainly, they might be top of the league, but it just shows that nobody's an out-and-out favourite at the moment for that league.
A tough night for Sheffield, obviously, and the BELLE Vue fans went home very, very happy indeed. But sometimes you get these fixtures, don't you, as we mentioned just before, you know, best laid plans. There's no real place where you can lay the blame. Sometimes the night goes against you, and you just got to take it on the chin as far as Sheffield are concerned. Yeah,
that's right. And at the same time, sometimes, you know, you just got to give the other team the recognition they deserve. You know, strong performance from the home side, and you know, even the likes of Jack Holder there with a poor score by his standards. So yeah, sometimes you've got to put your hands up and say, look, it was now a night, and take away whatever lessons you can from that and come back a little bit stronger next time. But you know, that sport, like I said, they're both very, very strong teams, and it could be very different the next time they go there.
Next to Monmore Stadium, and Ipswich climb back to the top of the Premiership after winning 47-43 against Wolves, their second victory in the Black Country this season. The Witches overcame the absence of Paul Stark, who was ruled out with thumb ligament damage, but had a match winner at reserve with Erik RISS, who piled up 16+1, whilst Jason Doyle scored 11. Sam Masters was declared fit for the home side, and he top scored for Wolves with 12 plus 2 bonus points. Luke Becker also scoring 12, but the match was already lost prior to their 5-1 in Heat 15. We'll hear from the team managers in a moment, but first, the top scorers for the respective sides. Erik RISS in just a second, but first, Sam Masters, who top scored despite pulling himself out of the sick bay, has been chatting to Ryan Guest.
Well, Sam, first and foremost, from the team perspective, a second defeat of the season here against Ipswich. It turned out to be a tough night for the team.
Yeah, I feel like we've actually versed harder teams here at Monmore, but for some reason we just can't get over Ipswich for some reason. I mean, they got a good number one in Doyley, but that's, I don't know why. They had a really good reserve, and that shows when you got a good reserve, you can put them in any race you want, really. So, unfortunately we didn't win, and we're trying.
Yeah, like you say, Erik RISS, 7 rides, scored 16 points, I think it was as well, so that was a big difference. But watching on from the middle as well, just seemed as though the boys were a bit slower at the starts tonight than Ipswich.
Yeah, all night we were struggling from the starts. Me and Stevie were okay, but I'm not sure what was going on there. So they were a little bit different the last couple of weeks. Maybe it was that, but unfortunately we just didn't get off the start like Ipswich. Yeah.
Like you say, the way the Premiership league table's standing up, it's not too disastrous, but nevertheless, you don't want to get into that losing habit, and it's never nice losing at home.
Yeah, we don't like losing at home. That was our aim, to never get beat at home, and we'd already done that throughout the year, during the year. So that's hurt us a little bit, but we've still got a strong team. We're still aiming playoffs, and it all starts again. But it'd be nice to do it a little bit easier.
For yourself individually, even in the build-up to tonight's meeting here at Monmore Green, there was some concern over your fitness. Obviously took a knock to your right foot over the weekend. Just talk us through what happened first and foremost.
Yeah, I had a crash on Sunday in Poland and hurt my foot, got it caught in the fence, and then I was struggling all day yesterday, and I tried riding at Scunthorpe and it wasn't really happening. But this morning, until about 1 o'clock, to be honest, I wasn't going to race, and then I had a bit of a rest, put my foot up, and it started feeling better and better, and I got here and I thought it would get worse, but then I didn't. It was feeling okay before the start of the meeting, and once the adrenaline was pumping I was alright. But it is definitely sore, but we've got to soldier on.
Yeah, I was going to say, certainly couldn't see anything. 13+1, dropping just 1 point to Ipswich, and now what's the plan over the next couple of days?
Yeah, I'd like to put my feet up. Meant to have Kingsley in the pairs. Be good if that wasn't happening, but felt like I rode good enough today, and the pain wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, and I'll join that.
Sam, many thanks for speaking to us.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, painful evening for Sam Masters, both on the track and off it as well, I suspect, with that injured foot that he sustained in Poland, but managed to race on and be top scorer for Wolves on Monday night. Meanwhile, for Ipswich, of course, they've gone back to the top of the table. Thanks in no small part to Erik Riss's contribution. He's dropped to reserve. Not bad to have a world long track champion as your reserve up your sleeve, and he certainly delivered with paid 17 on the night, and he's been chatting about that performance with Ryan Guest.
Yeah, really good night for myself. It's a bit weird being at reserve. I was at number 5 on last Monday and now I'm at number 6, but got to make the best of it and help the team, and I had a really good night and we won.
Just what you needed as well, because I know you've been a bit frustrated with your away form in particular, so to come to a track like Wolverhampton and ride how you did, that's a big boost for yourself.
Yeah, definitely, and obviously I was at reserve, but I still beat heat leaders of Wolves, so it was a really good performance of myself away from home, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah, for the team as well, to come here and win for a second time this season, a brilliant night and back to the top of the table.
Yeah, it's crazy that we ride better here than at home, to be honest. Second time we won here. First time I don't think anyone expected it, and today we didn't really know what to expect, but we won here last time. We knew we could do it again. The track was quite similar, so yeah.
There seems to be a general feeling as well that even though Ipswich are getting the results, top of the table at the minute, still a general feeling that there's a bit more to come from this group of riders.
Yeah, see, mate. I think so. I think, some of us have an off night every now and then. I think if we all perform what we're capable of, I think we're a really, really strong team. Sometimes I'm struggling, sometimes someone else is struggling, so it's always a bit tight. Even at home, I think if we all click at the same time and perform like we should, then we're a really strong side.
And the next meeting at Vauxhall on the 14th as well, against BELLE Vue. Obviously they've strengthened up massively, their results are improving, so that's going to be another tight one at Vauxhall.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like I said, it's been pretty tight the most matches we had, so definitely going to be a tough one again, and it would definitely be nicer to win the meeting earlier than Heat 15 like it was last week.
Well done tonight, Erik.
Thank you.
There's Erik RISS of the Ipswich Witches, and now, of course, also in the Championship with the Redcar Bears, and it's Erik's second spell with Redcar because he was with them a few years ago. And Ben Duffill, our guest this week, was co-promoter there at the time, and he raced for you, and he remains a close personal friend. Tell us about Erik. How do you think he's going to be getting on at reserve? It's a bit of a mismatch when you look at the race cards and the riders he's going to be up against, with all due respect. But Erik RISS is a world long track champion and has got a lot of experience in Speedway, and you'd think he would be out of the zone of reserve, but that's where he's at. And I suppose while he's down there, he's going to be filling his boots on the points front.
Yeah, I mean, knowing Erik as I do, he won't be happy that he's at reserve, because I know he's a very ambitious rider, and he'll be disappointed that he's down there. I don't really know how he ended up down there. That's the beauty of the rolling averages, or certainly that's what it can turn up every now and then, because this year I think he's about 4th in their averages if you take his performances just from this year. But that's something that Ipswich have got to take advantage of. I'm sure Erik will take advantage of it as well, whether he wants to be there or not. And it can be a great confidence booster. I mean, you've seen how many times a rider can drop to reserve, and for whatever reason, it just completely kickstarts the season. But Erik has been having a good season anyway, and it didn't surprise me to see him score big from that position yesterday. And he was the match winner for them. He's going to be dangerous now wherever he goes, until he moves back up in the main body of the team.
You look at the lineup for Ipswich, and it is just fractionally that he makes it into the reserve places at the moment. There's really not a lot in it as far as the current averages go. And Erik RISS is on 4.62, Ben Barker 4.69, Paul Stark 4.84. So there's those three riders who are just a sniff away from it. But Erik finds himself there at the moment, and plenty of steak and chips for Erik RISS through the course of this month, at least.
No, but it won't do his bank balance any harm, I can tell you that, if he keeps riding like he did last night.
Yeah, I think Chris Lee would be quite glad to get him out of the reserve berths with performances like that. Let's have a listen to the team managers then. We'll hear from Peter Adams very soon, because it's not often that you get sides going to Monmore and getting one over the Wolves, let alone twice. Let's hear from Ritchie Hawkins first up. He's with Ryan Guest.
Well, Ritchie Hawkins, not too many teams come to Monmore Green and win once in a season. It's very rare someone comes and does it twice, but that's a feat you're very proud of as Ipswich boss tonight.
Yeah, no, we was brilliant again. Like, our best two performances this year so far have both been at Wolves. Obviously, Erik RISS at reserve is a massive bonus. Pity we haven't really got a very busy month. We've only got sort of 3 meetings, but he was superb, and everyone in the team contributed, so it's good.
Yeah, like you say, I know Wolves had a fitness doubt over Sam, but he proved out there that there was nothing too wrong with him. But like you say, from your own perspective, after missing out on a point at Sheffield last week, it was a nice response from the team.
Yeah, we're in a very good position. I think the boys are performing everywhere. I think, you know, we're I guess we're back at the top of the league now, and we're obviously a good team, so season's going well. Yeah, we're improving, but yeah, we've certainly enjoyed our trips here so far this year.
Yeah, as you've said, the way results have gone this Monday night does move you back to the Premiership table. I know there's still a long way to go, the playoffs are long off, but you're kind of settling into that top four now, cementing your position, and I think you've touched upon it many times. You still feel like this side really hasn't clicked yet?
No, I still think we've got improvement in us. We're kind of dovetailing well. When one guy's having a little bit of an off night, someone's covering them. Obviously Jason, it was only Jason and Daniel at either end of the side that you could say was doing their actual job week in, week out solidly. So hopefully, you know, we're in that second half of the season now. We need to be more consistent, and you know, it's looking good so far. And you know, it'd be nice to get Starkey back. Hopefully he comes back fit. Ben's still not fit really, but he did put in a tremendous effort to complete 4 rides really. So yeah, hopefully, you know, things are looking good.
Yeah, obviously we've got the pairs this Thursday. It's 10 days or so before the next meeting at Vauxhall, but with the form that BELLE Vue are clicking into as well, that promises to be a humdinger of a meeting.
Yeah, I mean, all our meetings at home this year have been close ones, so it'd be nice for us to really perform in front of our home fans. I think we've probably done a little bit better out on the road. And BELLE Vue obviously now, since they brought in Matty, have obviously looked a very good team. So funny really, both of us were terrible in the cup, but we're both sort of leading the way at the top of the league at the moment.
There you go, Richie. Congratulations on another win in the Black Country.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, the victorious Ritchie Hawkins there speaking with Ryan Guest. What about Peter Adams, though? It's rare, as Ryan was mentioning, that clubs actually get much from a visit to Monmore, let alone twice in a season. Well, let's find out what Pete Adams makes of all that and the clash against Ipswich. He's speaking with BBC Radio WM's Mike Taylor.
Peter, there was a lot of good racing in that, but they've managed to record 2 wins here at Monmore in the league this season, which I think is a very rare thing for any team to do.
Yeah, especially Ipswich, you know, we normally take care of them, but they had the upper hand tonight. You know, when you've got a reserve scoring paid 18 points and a Grand Prix rider at number 1, you know, the rest is simple. I think if you look at the programme, I think other than those 2 riders, Ipswich only produced 1 race winner all night. So that tells you a lot about, you know, where their strengths were.
Yes, and I mean, with RISS dropping to that position in the averages, they're obviously going to take every opportunity to use him wherever they can. It's no surprise that worked.
Of course, and when RISS moves up, as he inevitably will, somebody else decent will be dropping into that position, which is, it's a bit of a sort of hokey-cokey game, similar to what produced the goods last season for Peterborough, of course, but it seems to be a model that's growing in popularity, and it's one that we're obviously going to have to keep our eyes on.
Yes, because it's been hard going for your reserves so far at times this season. I think they only picked up 3 points tonight. They're both promising young riders, but it's a tough environment for them.
Yeah, we need points from one of those 2 positions, and 2 ideally, you know, and it's disappointing, as you say, because, you know, one week they look excellent and the next week they look like they've never seen the place before. So that's something obviously that we're going to have to monitor as the season unfolds.
Sam, we know there was a big question about whether he'd be fit enough, and it's typical of a speedway rider that, you know, he hasn't been able to have any X-rayed because it's too swollen, yet he still goes out there and races. And I think he won 2 out of 3 against Jason Doyle, which says a lot for his quality.
Yeah, he had a great meeting, Sam. I think that was a true captain's performance from him tonight, and it was good of him, you know, to take his place in the team, and he's reporting no ill effects. So hopefully, you know, we can head off to the pairs meeting at Kings Lynn with him as part of the team on Thursday.
Yeah, and just one more thought about, you know, a standout performance from Luke Becker, who is a thrilling racer. I mean, he has to keep coming from behind quite a lot, but what a rider.
Yeah, he's developing nicely, Luke. This is his 3rd season with us, is it? And yeah, he's growing into the role, and obviously you can see from the odd flash that he produces, there's a big future, you know, ahead of him.
Clear concern about the reserves there from Peter Adams, and when you look at the stats, you can see why. Only 3 race wins from reserve all season from Drew Kemp and Leon Flint. Obviously, this is something that Pete Adams has said that he's going to be monitoring. Wolves have been fairly faithful with their reserve lineups over the years, haven't they? And sort of stuck by them quite a lot. But as we've seen with some other clubs now, maybe some clubs are not necessarily in the Premiership, but also in the Championship, maybe getting a little bit itchy and looking around at the other talent that might be out there.
I don't really know what points Wolverhampton would have to play with, but you look at those 2 riders at reserve and you do wonder where they're going to find anybody who's going to be stronger. You know, I haven't seen an awful lot of Drew this year, but I know he's certainly been riding more consistently than I've seen him in recent years. But Leon Flint is a rider with a lot of ability. He's riding well for Berwick. You know, we were at Poole very recently and saw him win, I think it was 3 races there on the trot against some very strong riders around that track. So, you know, he's the potential to turn things around very quickly. So, yeah, it all comes down to what options people have. But I would be surprised if there was anybody who could come in and do a better job than they could, really.
Peterborough moved off the bottom of the Premiership table with a dramatic 46-44 win over A47 rivals Kings Lynn at the East of England Arena on Monday night. The Panthers overcame the loss of Michael Palm-Toft with more injury problems after one ride and pulled back from 6 points down to go into the last heat decider level. Chris Harris, who got 11+1, won the race and was unbeaten barring one mechanical failure. Ulrich OSTERGAARD with 11+2 supplying the vital 3rd places, split by Josh Pickering. Panthers reserve Benjamin Basso racked up a crucial 15+1 score from 7 rides. Well, we'll hear from one of those top scorers for the Peterborough Panthers, Ulrich OSTERGAARD, in just a moment. But first of all, the Kings Lynn top scorer, Josh Pickering, speaking with Dave Rowe.
Josh Pickering, lots of fierce racing out there tonight, but Kings Lynn must be devastated not to come away with a win there.
Yeah, look, got to keep the head high. I feel like heat 15 then we knew Bomb was on it tonight. There's no question about it. So we're going for the minor places, 2nd and 3rd, and Ulrich was riding a very good race, and I was trying to slow it up as safe as I possibly could, and I felt like I sort of done that towards the end there, and then as Richard was coming around, he done a chain, which is unfortunate. It wasn't meant to be, and fair play to the Peterborough boys.
But in your situation, a point away from home probably isn't quite enough, really. You to come here looking to win.
Yeah, we need to win. We wanted all 4 points, to be honest. So if you want to look at it on another point of view, Peterborough done IPSWICH by 10 points the other week, so they're a strong side, and especially around home, and especially when Bomber's riding the way he is. So I feel there's plenty we can take away from it. Louis have bike issues all night. Jason's just finding his feet still. Thomas had a couple of good races in reserve, but then as the track's changing, he sort of struggled with setup a bit. Ritchie rode very good. Lawson done good as well, and I felt I played my part, but just not enough winners tonight.
Talking about your personal form, 18 yesterday for Edinburgh, another big points haul tonight, so things aren't going well for you.
Yeah, personal level, it's been a good year, and I want to continue that form, obviously, but it's not over yet. We've still got plenty to race for, and a win would be nice. I feel like we haven't won one in a long time, so it's a bit disappointing, but I appreciate the Kings Lynn fans that come across and here supporting us tonight, so it was good.
Josh Pickering then racking up 15 points, but not enough to stop Kings Lynn slipping to the bottom of the Premiership table as it stands. And getting themselves off the bottom after so long were Peterborough. Let's hear from Ulrich OSTERGAARD, who had a very close race, perhaps slightly too close, with Josh Pickering at the end of that meeting. He's speaking with Dave Rowe.
Uli, what a meeting again here at the showground, and what a finish, heat 15, sensational.
Too close for comfort, isn't it? You know, we're all trying so hard, and I'm really pleased we got the win. We should have won a bit more comfortable, I reckon, but everyone chipped in, everyone did their best, and really proud to go out in 15 and still do a job, even though it was a bit close to me and Josh there on the third lap. But we got the win, that was important, and you can see the happy crowd and all that, so I'm happy to be part of that.
And you had a long break before your last ride, heat 10, then the interval and time to get in. And as you say, Josh Pickering saw he couldn't catch Bomber, so he was doing his best to slow you up.
I know, yeah, it was a bit of a dirty move. I was a bit pissed off afterwards because I think it's a bit unfair, isn't it? You know, I could have so easily wiped him out and we could have both been injured, and you don't want to do that. I know he was trying to help his teammate, but in the heat of the moment, you just feel it's a little bit dirty to do that. But anyway, we got the win. I got some points tonight as well, and I'm feeling better and better week by week. So try to keep it going and hopefully get a bit more comfortable win next time.
Yeah, you're looking much happier in the last few home matches. What is the difference? I mean, we're seeing you making better starts. You've got more speed. What's going right?
Yeah, I've got a different engine. That just made a massive difference. Besso lent me one when I had a bit of a bad period. He said, try this engine, see if you want to try it. So I used it, and it's been absolutely flying since I've got it. So it's weird what a different engine can do for you, isn't it? Because you started out yourself a little bit when you think it's you, is it the bike, what is it? So to get a bike that's actually gating and it's actually got a bit of speed as well, it just makes a massive difference and give you confidence, and you know you can go out there and win every heat, don't you? So yeah, I'm pleased about tonight. I'm pleased we got the win because we needed it to get some more points on the board.
Yeah, off the bottom of the table now. Next week here is Wolverhampton, who came here and really did a job on Panthers earlier in the season. Yeah. But hopefully home form better now. You can turn it around next week.
We need to, mate. You know, I think we had a couple of weeks break now, didn't we? So I think maybe it'll be good for Hans. Go home. I think he had a few machine problems tonight as well. So hopefully he can get that one sorted for next week. Scotty had an engine go as well. So, but like I said, we all need to score points every heat, and we don't need all them zeros. So if we can do that, I'm sure we can beat Wolves, and we need it if we want to climb that table and get them playoffs.
Can you give me a quick word on Bomber? I mean, have you seen Bomber ride better any time during his career? Sometimes you're following him.
It's so annoying riding with him because he's so quick. No team riding, is there? No. He's doing phenomenal. You know, you can't really put any words into it. No matter where he puts the bike at the minute, it just seems to be going. So. He got so much confidence, doesn't he? And he just go out there with a smile on his face. And, I've been doing that tonight. I've been doing that lately as well. And you can just see if you do that, if you're relaxed on the bike and you feel happy about what you're doing, you score points. And that's what Bomber's been doing. So it's good to have him in the team. And the rest of us just need to pick it up a little bit more and we'll be there.
Well, from not having a point on the board until a few weeks ago to now climbing off the bottom of the table, that's got to be big news. Let's hear the thoughts of the team manager, Rob Lyon, who's reflecting on that win over their near neighbours, Kings Lynn, with Dave Rowe.
Well, it could have gone either way. I mean, it was tight, wasn't it? And we knew we'd got heats 12 and 14 were critical for us, and like we had to make the sacrifice and put Jordan in 13, and it sort of worked out for us. But yeah, it was tight. But I'm pleased the boys managed to pull it off, especially with Tofty pulling out, and great team performance.
Obviously, Chris Harris is flying in best form. We've seen him for years, I would say. But credit to Ulrich, who had a long break before Heat 15 and came out and did that job there with Josh Pickering trying to team ride him out.
Yeah, it was a bit hectic there, wasn't it? And you could see what Josh was trying to do, and fair play. But yeah, Ulrich managed to hold on, and with Bomber flying, 4-2 was enough. But yeah, good meeting and some good racing, and another 3 points for us. We just got to keep pushing now.
Off the bottom is a psychological difference, I suppose.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, it means we're now chasing fourth, but we've got a long way to go. We've got another half of the season yet, and we know we've got to pull some away wins in and keep winning at home, and if we've got a chance of playoffs. But we'll keep pushing hard, and hopefully we can get there.
What's the news on Tofty? Because obviously he did probably half a lap before he could see things weren't right, so you can't have riders pulling out repeatedly. What's the situation? How long do you think he'll be out for?
Well, we haven't really discussed it. We'll talk in a few days and see how he is. I mean, he had pain where he jarred it coming off that second corner, and he had pain where he hadn't had previously all week. So, tricky one really, but I think he probably needs to get some laps in test it before he comes back competitively, to be honest. But we'll monitor it each day, I think.
I guess tonight there was no real downside to it because everyone's racing anyway, so guests were non-existent. So one ride IRR and then you're away. It's just a busy night for the team manager of juggling everything round.
Yeah, absolutely. But IRR has become part of our makeup, after last year, I think. But unfortunately, we managed to juggle and get there in the end, and that's the main thing.
Quick word on Jordan Palin. What's the situation there? We understand he had a big crash at BELLE Vue testing last Thursday.
Yeah, I think he was out with concussion, and I think he needs some time out. I think it was a nasty crash, I understand. So a little bit of time out, and again, we'll keep in touch with him and see how he is and monitor that one as we go forward.
And just finally, Pairs obviously on Thursday, but then Wolverhampton back here on Monday, who very much did a job on PETERBOROUGH in the season. Another crucial home meeting to win that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Pairs, Kings Lynn Thursday. We sort of we were last here. I think we were 5th at Ipswich, so hopefully we can be 4th or better at Kings Lynn on Thursday. But next Monday's a big one again. They keep coming, and the boys have got momentum now, so hopefully we can have a fully fit team, and Tofty can get back to winning ways and pull off a win.
Thanks, Rob. Good show tonight. Thank you.
No worries.
So there's Rob Lyon. Ben Duffill is our guest. Ben, it's been a funny old start to the season for Peterborough, hasn't it? They started obviously as champions, took that hammering at BELLE Vue, and then up until a few weeks ago had 0 points on the board, and now all of a sudden they've had some fairly close meetings, but they all count. Get the win, the 3 points go on the board, and they've pulled themselves off the bottom of the table, and things starting to head in the right direction for the reigning champions.
Yeah, what a strange one, eh? I mean, that side was virtually unchanged from last year, and to go from a team that was that dominant to struggling at the other end of the table is it's hard to fathom what's gone on there, really. But they're a team full of potential. There are a few people who are not quite performing as they can. You do think that there are only a couple of riders clicking away from being a decent side again, but the new averages, fortunately for them, keep Ben Bassor at reserve. He's a rider with huge potential and somebody I rate really highly. And Chris Harris, since he's had his new engine as well, it seems to be riding as well as he ever has. So, yeah, they're a team that, definitely have the potential to turn things around, but for whatever reason, it's just not worked for them. But certainly from a fan's perspective, meetings that close at home around a racetrack as good as Peterborough, there'll certainly be no lack of entertainment there, which is why people go at the end of the day.
The only downside, really, of last night was the loss of Michael Palm-Toft. He retired after his first ride and re-aggravation of an existing shoulder problem, we understand. Not sure how long he's going to be on the sidelines for, but quite a loss, really. He's number 3 in the averages, so they can get a guess for him, can't they? But still a big miss in the Peterborough side.
Yeah, guess for your top 3. So they'll have options there, but one thing they won't be able to replace is Tofty's ability at home. He's so quick around Peterborough, and there's a shortage of riders as it is, without losing somebody who's that vital really to your performances. So a big blow to Peterborough, but hopefully he's not going to be out for too much longer. But the crash he had at Pull was a really nasty one, and the fact he's actually back on a bike at all at the moment is quite remarkable anyway. So yeah, hopefully he's not too bad anyway.
And looking ahead at the next fixtures for Kings Lynn, of course, who now currently occupy bottom spot in the Premiership. The last place you probably want to be going for a morale-boosting match is a trip to the National Speedway Stadium to face BELLE Vue on the form they're currently on. But that's the task that's next up in the Premiership for Kings Lynn.
That's going to be a tough one for them, isn't it? And they're going to be relying, upon their big hitters there again. But you look through Kings Lynn's side, and again, there's riders there with a lot of potential. Particularly, Thomas Jorgensen down at reserve is a rider who could score heavily from there. But BELLE Vue is one of those tracks you just can't underestimate anybody. So I certainly wouldn't want to say for certain who was going to come out on top of that one. But yeah, it would be really difficult to look much further than BELLE Vue, really.
Ben Duffill, the former promoter at Redcar Bears and now chief of the British Speedway Network live streaming service, is with us this week on No Breaks, No Fear, and we'll speak to Ben about the BSN operation in just a few minutes, because it's a big week for BSN. 3 matches in 3 days, including the Premiership Pairs and a couple of fixtures in the Championship. And we'll look ahead to the Premiership Pairs as well in the next part of No Breaks, No Fear.
No Breaks, No Fear, the official British Speedway podcast.
Welcome back, I'm Ian Brannan. This week on the episode, we are joined by the head of the British Speedway Network, Ben Duffill. Now, Ben's career a year ago took him to the point where he was co-promoter, and a long-standing one, actually, at the Redcar Bears, and been involved in that club for a number of years. Of course, Ben used to be a rider back in the day. He's been a team manager. I mean, done pretty much everything, as he said in his own words at the start of this, apart from refereed now. But these days, he is in charge of BSN, British Speedway Network, which is the live streaming service, which I know many people will have experienced at some point through the course of this season. Ben, just to have a word about BSN and the whole operation, I'm involved because I'm one of the commentators, and it's been fantastic to work on and to sort of go and see all these tracks around British Speedway. But the journey really goes earlier than that, because you were doing live streaming at Redcar last year, and you got that off the ground, and then one thing has led to another, and you've taken it up a whole notch.
Yeah, it's all come about really quickly. Myself and Martin Hunter. Well, Martin was a volunteer of mine while I was at Redcar Speedway, and we decided to put a live streaming service in place at Redcar last year, which we worked on the whole season. We got to the end of the year, and Martin and myself got about speaking. This would be great to do something collectively for the league, because the Championship had been so underrepresented. There's a lot of variety there, a lot of great tracks that people hadn't seen, and all of this was just an idea as recently as January, and it's just taken off really, really quickly. We've put the whole project together, and there's been a monumental amount of work that's gone into getting the project as far as it has. We're both really passionate about Speedway, and yourself included. Our team feel exactly the same way, and it's exciting and a pleasure to bring more Speedway to people, not just in the UK but around the world. And yeah, we had 1 or 2 hiccups along the way, but we've certainly worked hard and invested where we needed to put those things right, and things are moving in the right direction. Feedback's good, and it's just a great journey to be on, really.
I think having seen how it all works and working as part of the BSN team, a lot of people will really not understand the amount of work that goes in before a meeting, the sheer amount of work and setup that's required. Because unlike club live streams that have got everything sort of set up, and it's a lot quicker to get everything up and running, I suppose, every time BSN arrive at a stadium to do a live stream, everything comes out the back of the van and is set up from scratch. The cables are put in around the stadium, so there's all that to do. Obviously, there's the cameras to set up, there's all the wiring, there's the health and safety, there's scaffolding towers to be built, and all this kind of stuff. And then after the meeting's finished, it's all taken back down and back out again that night as well. And in the case this week, doing 3 meetings, one after the other, obviously that's all packed up and driven to the next location. This week being King's Lynn to Edinburgh. So it's, there's a lot of distance involved as well. So the amount of effort that goes in, and it is a very small team that do it, and therefore once you've rigged stuff up, you do occasionally have some technical issues, and those are things that you've worked very, very hard indeed to fix over the course of the first few months.
Yeah, it is, and that's the biggest challenges we've faced. Really, is just the difference that we find, particularly with cellular signal between stadiums. I don't know whether people are really too aware of how this all works, but we don't generally have Wi-Fi or internet within the stadiums, so we're working purely off cellular signals everywhere we go at the moment. And We've recently invested in new equipment. It's the same. I won't go into the technicalities of it all because it probably baffled too many people. But it's the same equipment that Eurosport are using now for a lot of their remote productions, and it's completely transformed things for us. But we were thinking actually it would be quite good to document how we do set up at these stadiums, because we tend to be there, from I would say 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. We won't stop setting up and testing our equipment until very shortly before we go live. Obviously, we do all the pre-recorded stuff. And then once the show's finished, we'll be there usually till midnight and then back on the road. So they're typically, I would say, anything between 18 to 20-hour days for us. And, this week when we've got 3 on the trot is going to be, it's going to be a really hard slog because there's going to be little sleep between them. But this is what we signed up for. We really enjoy it. But it is challenging, and we've had to learn really quickly as well. We are new to the industry. We worked with Redcar Speedway last year, but this is on a completely different scale to what we've done before. But we're happy where we've got with the project. We're improving all the time, and we're really ambitious. That we've still got a lot of plans to develop BSN further, and hopefully we're going to be around for a long time as well.
I think it's also important to point out that if you buy a BSN live stream or you buy a monthly pass or an annual pass, that a good proportion of your money that you pay goes back directly into British Speedway, and the money's shared among the clubs, and that's why there's 2 subscriptions, one for the Championship, one for the Premiership stuff, because the clubs in those respective groups will benefit from that portion of money. So you are putting money back into your club, to all clubs, to all of Speedway by watching one of the BSN live streams.
It is, and that was one of the ambitions we had with BSN. Really was something that was going to benefit every club, and it will as well, because a lot of clubs are at the moment. That there's no secret that some British Speedway clubs are struggling. We've seen Newcastle fold tragically very recently, and we've also heard reports from Birmingham that things aren't quite rosy there. So anything we can do to safeguard these clubs and help secure the future has got to be a good thing. And the public have really got behind this. There's been a lot of support there, and I think a lot of belief in what we're trying to achieve. But yeah, when we started out, this was very much a championship channel. We very much hoped that we would be able to work with the Premiership, but we never expected it to come about quite as quickly as it did. But it's something we're really excited and I feel quite honoured to be involved in. You look at the names there in those lineups, and there's some world-class riders there. So yeah, we didn't plan for that financially initially. We advertised it as a championship channel, and we're really clear with what we were selling, which was 35 championship meetings. But obviously we couldn't offer the Premiership's services for free as well, because they're not going to allow us to go there and film for free either. So this is the money we get from the pairs is going back into the Premiership clubs as well. So yeah, it's hopefully this is something that'll be here to stay. I think streaming, particularly the last couple of years, the value has been quite evident with clubs doing their own streams and obviously with BSN as well. So if it can bring in some extra revenue for those clubs and keep the heads above water, then, and not only that, we're obviously entertaining people at home and giving them more to watch. Regular Speedway weekly, 3 this week, then I think there's a lot that we can say that's positive really about what we're trying to achieve here.
Well, if you haven't checked out BSN so far, you have 3 chances to do so through the course of this week, and that next one will be on Thursday for the Premiership Pairs at Kings Lynn, round 3 of the Premiership Pairs. And here's the lineups that'll be racing for the respective teams, and I'm going to read out the teams in riding order because you've got the teams allocated the various slots A, B, C, D, E, F. So Team A will be Wolverhampton, and they'll be tracking Sam Masters, Nick Morris and Leon Flint as the rising star. Team B will be BELLE Vue Aces with Max Frick, Mate Zagar and Tom Brennan. Team C is the Ipswich Witches with Jason Doyle, Danny King and Daniel Hume. Team D will be Kings Lynn, Josh Pickering, Richard Lawson and Jason Edwards as the rising star. And then now, well, Peterborough Panthers, I'm not sure about this, Chris Harris, Michael Palmtoft and Jordan Jenkins is programmed, but with Tofty withdrawing on Monday, is that still the case, Ben? Do you know?
I know he's been replaced with Hans Andersen, so it doesn't look as though he'll be fit, unfortunately.
Okay, there you go. Chris Harris and Hans Andersen with Jordan Jenkins for the Peterborough Panthers. And for the Sheffield Tigers, it will be Jack Holder, Adam Ellis and Connor Mountain. So, strong lineups, a couple of Grand Prix riders among them. Some ex-Grand Prix riders also involved as well, and it's we know what we're going to get from these. It's Heat 13 and Heat 15 all the way through. Kings Lynn and Sheffield joint leaders of the championship so far, but at the time of recording this, of course, still 4 rounds left to go. Ipswich, BELLE Vue, they could certainly still get themselves in there or thereabouts.
No, well, it's only been 2 rounds, like you said, hasn't it? Another 4 to go, so there's a long way to go yet, but I mean, you look through all of those lineups and there are capable riders in every single team. It'll only take a couple of good results from those down at the bottom of the table to make the way back up. But yeah, I mean, who would have thought as well Kings Lynn would win that first leg at Peterborough? It just shows that anything can happen. They're on their obviously home track this time. Both Josh Pickering in particular enjoying a great season, as well as Richard Lawson. But yeah, I mean, look at the likes of Zagar, Frick, Jason Doyle, just to name a few, Jack Holder. It's a really exciting competition, and to have that kind of class condensed as closely as that in this pairs competition, it's almost akin to the the fours that we had many years ago, but obviously in a different format. But it gives everybody a bit of home track advantage at times, but also it's something good for the fans to travel to as well. And yeah, it's a great competition, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes from here.
Each rising star for each team has to have at least one ride at some point. Maybe interestingly, BELLE Vue have got Tom Brennan, who is the first rising star ever to make it into the main body of his team currently, which is fantastic for Tom. But he's not really in a rising star position at this moment in time, technically speaking, though.
Yeah, but well deserved though. It just shows that's what this scheme is there for. It's to help these guys progress, and Tom's proven just that. So yeah, I'm not quite sure that'll give him an advantage there. Tom is obviously the standout rider, having moved into the main body, but still some really capable guys amongst the other rising stars. And those guys only get to race once. It's interesting really where the team managers use them, because ideally I think they would race against each other. Certainly would make the racing a little bit closer in those heats, but at the same time, it gives the team managers a tactical approach as well, doesn't it? So it'll be interesting to see how they utilise those riders.
It was interesting at Ipswich where the various rising stars seemed to be kind of permanently on standby, and the team managers were waiting for their opposition managers to make a move by sticking their rising star in. So if it did happen, they immediately had their rising star ready to go out as well. And quite a few short notice changes to the teams, of course, gate positions being another one, and that provides an extra challenge from the TV point of view as well, doesn't it? With getting the graphics right and knowing exactly who's where.
Yeah, that was a huge challenge actually, to be able to work our graphics package, that we could change the lineups that quickly and have the riders align in the right position. The Premiership have been really good working with us from the pits, so we do tend to get those changes as quickly as we can. But a big shout out to Dave Gambrill from Candysoft there, who's helped us to develop that package. But yeah, it certainly kept Martin on his toes. I know that much. I'm not so sure about me, but yeah, it's it's working all right, which is the main thing.
It certainly spices it up, and that's got to be a good thing every now and again. So, Ben, if people are asking themselves the question, how do I find out more about this BSN thing to watch Speedway? Where do they go for more info? Because, say, we've got 3 matches coming up. The Pairs on Thursday, Edinburgh versus Poole on Friday, and Berwick versus Poole on Saturday, which we'll talk more about in the next part of this when we do a bit of a focus on the championship next here on the podcast. But where do they go for more info?
So you just head on over to the British Speedway Network website. So that's watchbritishspeedway.co.uk. And we're really highly active on socials as well. So if you just search BSN, British Speedway Network, or at Watch Speedway, you'll find us there. So quite easy to find, easy to use. And if you haven't tried it, give it a go, because the meetings this week, I mean, there's a lot of value there. You've got 2 regular championship meetings and actually 4 within a 7-day period, because we've got Oxford next Wednesday as well. And obviously the Premiership Pairs, which I think is going to be a great meeting as well.
Yeah, it's a busy time on that front, and the weather is going to be great as well, which makes a huge difference. So hope you can join us on that one. And in the next part of No Breaks, No Fear, we are turning the spotlight on the championship. There's lots to get through and some interviews to bring you with Lawrence Rogers, Daniel Hume, Dylan Rummel. The new signing for the Berwick Bandits, Jonas Knudsen, Stuart Dixon and Dale Allett, all on the way before the end of No Breaks, No Fear. I told you it was a jam-packed show. We continue next.
No Breaks, No Fear, the official British Speedway podcast.
Welcome back. In this final part, our focus is very much on the championship, and joining me is the head of the British Speedway Network live streaming service, Ben Duffill, with us, also promoter this time last year with the Red Car Bears and team manager over the time there as well. Former rider with Glasgow back in the day. Let's talk about Glasgow, because they're riding against Birmingham at PETERBOROUGH on Wednesday night. The top spot in the championship is not fully cut and dried yet, as much as Stuart Dixon would like to think that's the case. And yes, the various teams have got to win their matches, but Glasgow, Poole, even Plymouth could actually still grab top spot mathematically yet. So there's still quite a lot to race for, and the pressure on Glasgow to keep up the pressure at the top on Leicester.
It is, and Glasgow will be eyeing up that top spot. They are a team that expect success. So they will be going to Birmingham to take 4 points, no doubt about that. But like you said, Birmingham, particularly since Sedgey's come in as well, I've been really impressed with him. He sat out the start of the season, but he's come in and started scoring points from the off. But you've got to feel for Birmingham. They've had so many challenges and they've worked so hard both on and off the track this year to put things right. So they're a team that are capable, and on paper are a decent side as well. They beat Redcar quite convincingly at home very recently, so Glasgow won't have it all their own way, but keep an eye on that one, because it should be a good meeting.
Certainly reasons to be optimistic for the Birmingham Brummies. Let's hear from Birmingham boss Lawrence Rogers right now with Ryan Guest.
Well, Lawrence, it's been a great upturn in form at PETERBOROUGH for the Brummies. 2 tremendous wins against Plymouth and Redcar.
Oh, very much so. The Redcar one especially, that was a trouncing, I put it as, but we enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was the start to that fixture in particular which shocked a lot of people. I think it was 16 points up after 6 races. And full credit to the boys, because a lot of people thought Redcar were going to turn up in the West Midlands, win comfortably, and the boys had their say.
Very much so. They were on it from Heat 1. I think we had 4 5-1s in the first 6 races. And we hit them from every angle. The result could have been even better had, says you not had problems in the one with the carburettor.
What do you think's changed in those last 2 home meetings at Birmingham?
A bit of belief in themselves. I think, the win against Plymouth made them, really upbeat, and so that was there. But even on the track walk, they were all up for it, and that's going to be good. Team spirit was very good, and they produced it.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying, obviously, when you were suffering those few defeats at home in that bad spell for the Brummies, a lot of people were saying it just needed one or two more riders to maybe do their job. In recent weeks, we've seen skipper Ashley Morris. He's been scoring above his average, and even when Klaus Vissing returned against Redcar as well, he chipped in, and maybe those people were right. It did just need one or two more people doing the job.
I did say all along, when all seven click, we're going to really hit somebody, and we did. And Klaus had two great heat wins in that. Ash was on the pace up to a paid 10 in that meeting. It just shows what we can do.
This Wednesday night, it's Glasgow Tigers. Obviously, they're flying high. They've had two terrific home wins over Leicester and Redcar, so they're going to prove to be tough opposition. Nevertheless, it's a great chance for the Brummies to make it a hat-trick of home wins.
It is, yeah. And of course, a few ex-Brummies in there in Ulrich and Daniel. And it'd be strange to see Tom Brennan not wearing a Birmingham race jacket, wearing a Glasgow. I tell him I'm not even going to talk to him.
Yeah, it's a strange one as well, because I think that's one of the last league fixtures at Perry Bar. I know there's Berwick still to come in August off the top of my head, but like you say, it's going to be strange with the league meetings running out to an extent, and the Summer Trophy just around the corner next week.
Yeah, Summer Trophy's to come. We've got through our league fixtures, in time, which is good, but we could do with a few more. But unfortunately, we're not going to make the playoffs now by the look of it. But it's been a good few weeks for us.
A quick word on some of the Brummies riders. First of all, James Pearson down at reserve, obviously was brought into the team. No pressure on his shoulders as a teenager, and like you say, his first year in British Speedway, we've certainly seen some glimpses.
Yeah, it's a learning curve for him, and as you said, from day one there was no pressure on him. He's produced some good rides from time to time, not as consistent as he wants to be, but that'll come. It'll be in year two we'll gain from that.
Justin Sedgman obviously proved to be a really good mid-season signing. Some good news for him last week as well, obviously securing that Premiership spot with Sheffield as well.
Yeah, he's been flying everywhere. He's getting good guest bookings in both leagues and scoring well. And against, for Sheffield last week, he was good and deserves his chance in the big league.
Just finally, I know Josh Hawty about 3-4 weeks ago said he was going to be targeting July the 20th. Come back. I think he's got another check-up coming up. What's the latest with Josh? Do you think July 20th is a realistic comeback date?
Yeah, it's hard to say, isn't it? He is having being looked at again, but maybe it's too early. We don't know, but it's down to the man himself to say he's feeling fit.
So there's Lawrence Rogers, the Birmingham Brummies boss. What about the Glasgow Tigers? They've certainly had some thumping wins at home at Ashfield, but sometimes on the road it's been a little more tricky. That said, Tom Brennan has had quite a few guest appearances for the Birmingham Brummies recently. And let's hear right now from another of the Glasgow stars. Daniel Hume has been chatting about the recent results and looking ahead to the next fixture with Birmingham with Ryan Guest.
Well, Daniel, it was another terrific performance, another great result for the Glasgow Tigers against Redcar on Friday night.
It was, mate. It was one of those. We just got dialed into the track early doors, and track came to us a little bit. Obviously last week it was the same as that, so setup wise we knew where to start off, and the result wasn't really expected, but we all enjoyed it.
Like you say, it was another big win. It backed up that big win over Leicester the week before as well. And how much do you think that the confidence carried over from that sizable victory over the Lions?
Oh, massive. And it was one of those things, when you go out and enjoy it, the results have came, so everyone was we're enjoying it. This is the main thing, and with Leicester, no one expected us to do what we done, and we just carried our home performance.
Yeah, certainly did. Craig Cookie was a bit of an injured out. There was some concern over his fitness, obviously, after the two crashes he'd had the week previous, but he was absolutely stunning with that 15-point max.
Oh, mate, it was flying, and if he was riding, the following week, it would have been even more against Leicester. So I know we used injured rider replacement, and we still managed to pull away with Leicester. It could have even been even more with Cookie in the team, but he bounced back this week and got the job done.
I know it's an old cliche, when your number one's doing well, it inspires the rest of the team, but with someone like Cookie, who's obviously been at Glasgow for a number of years now, when he's really on form, it does really get everyone else going in the side.
Oh, you're right, yeah, just spurs everyone else on, and but even like he's had a couple of off meetings, all of us have dug deep, and we've got strength throughout the whole team. It's not like we've got a couple of good heat leaders and weaker reserves or something. We're solid all the way through the team, and I think when it's hard going like it has been at certain points, we've dug deep and come away with the results we wanted.
Yeah, for the team perspective as well, obviously with the Newcastle results coming off the table, it has changed things towards the top, and obviously that top two is what the Tigers are aiming for.
Exactly, yeah, and like I said, with Newcastle coming out of the league, we've lost we lost the points home and away. And obviously we annihilated them at home, so a bit of a shame, but it's the same for everyone. We've just got to work harder now and get where we want to be.
For yourself, the change in the averages obviously saw you promoted into the main body of the team. I think it was 6 paid 8 against Redcar, so you got to be happy with that first meeting.
Definitely, yeah. To be honest, I quite like being at number 2. Number 6 and 2 for me. Each rider says different, but I think they're just as hard as each other, and I just enjoy my racing, and doesn't matter what number I'm at, I always give it a go and hopefully come away with the result I want.
Yeah, and like you say, we've spoken on the podcast before about the progression, the steps up the British Speedway ladder you're taking. This probably was the next one, and now I guess it's to maintain that position in the main body.
Definitely, yeah. That's where I want to be, and that's at the start of the year. I said to myself I want to finish in the main body of the team and increase my average, and I've done that already. So if I can stay where I am and just keep banging in the points, I'll be happy.
Yeah, next up for the Tigers, it's a trip to PETERBOROUGH, the home of Birmingham Brummies, obviously a place you know very well, so hopefully you and the Tigers can carry that on there.
Yeah, nice local one for me for a change. So yeah, looking forward to going there, and yeah, I know some of the boys have been there this year already guesting, so hopefully they can tell us a bit of track knowledge and go from there and come away with a result we want.
So there's Danny and Hume. He'll be racing for the Glasgow Tigers on Wednesday on their trip to PETERBOROUGH to take on the Birmingham Brummies. It gets underway at 7:30, and also getting underway at the same time at the Oxford Stadium on Sandy Lane in Oxford will be the Oxford Cheetahs versus the Plymouth Gladiators. Plymouth, Ben, they are still there or thereabouts. They're currently 4th in the league table at the time of recording this, and more wins on the road, which they have achieved, and they've certainly not been embarrassed even racing against teams like Poole, of course, on their own patch a couple of weeks ago, as we know. They're still in with a shout of a top 2 finish. It's very much mathematically possible. Maybe you might say there are teams that are going to have a say on that, but they've had a terrific season, haven't they, Plymouth?
A good side, The one thing that Plymouth have got working against them is they're going to be relying upon guests and RR. Now Michael Palm-Toft's out as well, possibly. So, one thing that does work for them is they're a Tuesday night club, so they don't have anybody they're clashing against with at home, which makes that selection a little bit easier. But fair play to them. They were a team that really struggled last year, and they're right there in the mix. And you talk to Mark Phillips, and he's very much a man that wants to win the league, as does his riders. But Oxford are a team that I don't know whether they've maybe struggled with a little bit of a lack of home advantage this year. But on paper, they're a really good side. Aaron Summers coming back from retirement, and looks like he's never been away. In fact, he looks more determined and hungry to me than he did when he retired. So, bringing Paul Stark in was a shrewd move, and to me it shows they haven't really given up on reaching the playoffs. But it's going to be a big ask for them to get there now. But you can see that they're not giving up. Again, should be another tasty fixture, that one.
Okay, let's hear from one of the Oxford Cheetahs number then. Dylan Rummel has been speaking with Ryan Guest.
Well, Dylan, with your performances and scores over the past few weeks, got to be a pretty happy man right now.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely happy. I think, I'm miles ahead of where I was last year. So, yeah, I think as long as I can kind of, keep making progress and, be anything but stagnant, I'm happy.
Yeah, I know speaking to you last year, obviously it was your first year over here in British Speedway. It was all about a learning curve, getting used to the whole programme of it, all the new tracks, all the setups, that sort of thing. So, like you say, the second year was always going to be about showing how you could progress, and like you say, certainly learn plenty and using plenty of knowledge so far.
Yeah, no, I think, having somebody like Jason Crump and, all the boys on the team, I've learned more probably in the last 2 years than the last 10 before that. So, yeah, no, I think I'm definitely when I first came over, it was quite a bit of a culture shock, but I think this year I had a lot more of an idea of what to expect and, kind of went through the motions a little bit easier. So I think I was able to get stuck in a bit quicker. And so many circumstances that, just being when you're off the bike, it translates to, on track. So I think my my situation this year is a lot better off. So, I mean, and the results show.
Yeah, I think we saw a couple of meetings towards the back end of last year at Plymouth. Obviously, a track he'd been riding around week in, week out. They started getting better. But like you say, particularly on the away tracks, now you've been there once, you kind of know what to expect, don't you?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, that's the huge thing, just because, I mean, being back in the States, we race nothing like it. I mean, I think I've said this before, and I mean, it's hardly even the same sport. You know, I mean, when you come here, you're racing so many different guys, so many different tracks. I mean, so much goes into it, along with, I mean, knowing the setup, knowing the right changes to make. What might work here, you know, probably doesn't work back home, and vice versa. So, yeah, I think it's just learning. I mean, if I can take little bits here and there and, you know, use it to get a little bit better, you know, each week, then, yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, from Oxford, I know the aim was the playoffs. The way the league table's shaping up now, particularly after losing at home to Leicester last week, it's looking like that's going to be an outside shot now. But nevertheless, obviously, it's a great story with what's happened at Oxford this year, and you must be really impressed with what they've done there. Yeah, no,
all the guys down there. I mean, Jamie, he's done a great job with that place. It's you know, you see it on the track. The track provides great racing. It's, you know, a good surface. It's well maintained. I mean, and for spectators, I mean, if I was going to bring somebody that had no idea what Speedway was, you know, I think Oxford would be one of the places I'd bring them. You know, so yeah, it's definitely love it there. I love riding for them, and yeah, I mean the team as well. All the boys that are, you know, that I race alongside are, you know, everybody's pretty cool. We all get along quite well. So there's a bit of banter here and there, and you know, I think you know, when we're in the pits and things might not be working for one person, it's kind of, you know, everybody kind of gets together and, you know, shares what, you know, their opinions are, and I think it's good to have those opinions being bounced off each other.
And this Wednesday, going up against your old club Plymouth as well.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping. I mean, obviously we want to get the win, but I mean, Plymouth is definitely a strong team. So, yeah, I mean, none of them are easy though. You know, I think lately now we've gotten quite a bit more laps, a lot more track time at Oxford, and I think we're, you know, the team's developing a bit more of a home track advantage, you know, but I mean, at the beginning of the year, it was pretty much new to everybody, you know, so, I mean, racing there a lot more, and I think really all we have now left on our schedule is home fixtures. So, yeah, I think, you know, it might be a little bit far out to, you know, hope to get into playoffs, unfortunately, with the loss with Leicester, but, you know, I think that, you know, we all know what we need to do. So I think you know, as long as we can get stuck in early on, I don't see why we can't, you know, pull for it.
Dylan, many thanks for speaking to us.
Thank you.
Yeah, Oxford versus Plymouth then on Wednesday. Thursday, it's all about the Premiership Pairs Round 3. That's the only meeting in British Speedway. And then on Friday, back to the Championship and more action on the British Speedway Network. This will be a tasty one to watch. Edinburgh Monarchs versus the Poole Pirates. And, of course, this has huge significance at the very, very top of the championship, but also in the playoff places as well, where Edinburgh are looking to cement their place and put a bit of daylight between perhaps themselves and the sides below them. And a lot riding on this, Ben.
It's a really, really vital match for Edinburgh, that one. You know, the I would say top four for the playoffs look pretty much cut and dry to me, but certainly, you know, the 5th and 6th place, there's 3, possibly four teams there that can make that. So Edinburgh will be aware of that. This is a really important fixture for them, that they really can't afford to lose any more at home. Whereas Poole, a team obviously gone in for top of league as well. So Edinburgh, you know, are a team that are used to success. They're not used to missing out on playoffs, and they won't like this position. So They've got 2 very, very strong heat leaders in Sam Masters and Josh Pickering. You know, some of the other guys seem to be coming to the party, but they really need to step it up if they're going to reach the playoffs. But yeah, again, it's one that we're really pleased to be at. You know, not every meeting on BSN this year has had as much meaning, but there's a lot riding on this one, so it's one that's not to be missed.
And for Poole, is your great friend Gary Havelock going to be in charge of Poole for this one, or is Midlow making the trip?
No, it's Javi. I saw him at the weekend, and he was looking forward to going up there. So, yeah, I think he was telling me the last time he was team managing there, he managed to smash up the phone, so he wants to make sure I get that in on the interview as well.
Wow. Two fixtures with Gary Havelock as team manager coming up on BSN. That's got to be worth the admission fee alone. The other fixture on Friday then is Redcar versus Berwick. Redcar made a team change. They put Kyle Bickley into their lineup. Adam Roynan makes way there. Of course, Kyle Bickley used to be the team mascot at Redcar. He's been dropped by Berwick. Redcar versus Berwick is his opening fixture, so sometimes it's sort of written in the stars in some ways, isn't it?
Yeah, that's all the motivation you need, really, isn't it? I know from past experience that obviously riders don't like being dropped, no matter what the reason. And when you come up against the team that released you, that there's certainly that little bit more motivation there to go and prove, actually that was the wrong move. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how Kyle responds to that. But he's a bright young talent. He'll need to make the most of this opportunity and make sure that he's got a team place there at the start of next year. But yeah, it's a crunch match for them, and we've been around the Berwick promotion quite a bit this year, especially recently, and they haven't given up on the playoffs. They're still going to fight there all the way. So Redcar won't have it easy. Again, another track without much home advantage, something I'm very, very well aware of. So it's all starting to tighten up. We're getting towards the back end of the regular season there now, and these meetings are becoming more and more important as we move on. So it's going to be interesting to see the way it goes.
And a word about Adam Roynan, because many people will know Adam is ridden for a few teams across British Speedway. He's been really unlucky with injuries. I think maybe the most unlucky rider that there's been in recent times. And the injuries have struck at the wrong time. He was going really well, career going in the right direction, and then finds himself wiped out for the end of the season, and that's that. It's not been his strongest ever season, but I don't think it's been the worst season of a Speedway rider in British Speedway. Do you think he'll find himself back into a team before the end of the season?
Yeah. Adam's a rider with a lot of ability. He has had more bad luck, certainly more fair share than his fair share of bad luck over the years. But his passion for Speedway is still there. As you mentioned, I know Adam quite well, and he actually lives in the area, so I've seen quite a bit of him recently. And Speedway is his life. This is his passion. He's an absolute fanatic. Things haven't worked out for him this year. I know he has struggled with his equipment quite a bit, and from watching him, he's still a good rider. The ability hasn't left him. You do get the feeling that he's one or two meetings away from clicking, and yeah, I think. I don't think it'll be too long before we see him pop up in somebody else's lineup, because I'm pretty sure I saw the other day he's dropped to a 3 average, and he's a lot more capable than that. So if a team can get him in at reserve, I'm pretty sure someone will take a chance.
What's also going to be interesting at the Echo Arena is seeing Jonas Knudsen in action once again. He's the new signing for the Berwick Bandits. He races in SGP2, and you'll be able to see him at Cardiff if you're going along to that World Under-21 Championships on the Sunday after the main Grand Prix. But Jonas has signed for the Berwick Bandits. He races in the same team as Benjamin Basso in Denmark, and has come through the Danish youth system, which is watched over by a certain Erik Gundersen. Not a bad person to learn your craft from. And anyway, I caught up with Jonas on his very first appearance in British Speedway, where he won his first heat. Quite a way to introduce yourself at the Pool Stadium. Here he is.
Oh yeah, it was awesome to get a good heat win in the first one. So, but of course I want to score a bit more. Got it in the last heat, but it was good start.
It was an impressive start, and obviously you came up against some tougher opponents as the meeting went on. How did the meeting unfold for you? How did you feel it went as you met the riders that were further up the riding order?
Oh, it was so good. I didn't think so much about it. I need to beat everyone if it's possible, So, but I felt like I had a good first meeting, so I just got to keep going.
And in one race you were in with Chris Harris. You got out front. and I don't think there's a more experienced pair of hands in British Speedway than having Chris behind you as you're able to go and do your thing in a 5-1 out front while he's having the battle behind you.
Awesome team rider that he looked out for me as well to make me come around. So he's good to have on the team, talk to you a lot, and get you good advice throughout the meeting. So good start.
But you were yourself looking over your shoulder quite a lot, and obviously you're still quite a young rider, but I know we were with the Great Britain team manager Ollie Allen was with us tonight, and he'd noticed how much you were looking out for your opponents and your teammates during the course of a heat, which is something that you don't really often see with young riders. You know, he was impressed with how you were looking around.
Yeah, of course it's a team sport, and I never experienced so much team riding and a good atmosphere for a team like Berwick. It's awesome, and I just want, if they want to help me, I want to help them as well, you know. So.
And tell us about your education through the Danish ranks, because the youth system there, many people in Great Britain will be familiar with the name of Erik Gundersen, of course, one of the greatest riders of all time, and he's involved in the youth development in Denmark, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. I've had him under my shoulders for my whole young stage, and he supported me, and I can always ring him, so he's a good guy to have next to you.
Yeah, absolutely so. Well, good luck with your next meetings anyway, and welcome to British Speedway.
Cheers, thank you.
Yeah, definitely one to watch. Jonas Knudsen, the new signing for the Berwick Bandits. And you saw his first appearance, Ben, and you were impressed with him too.
I didn't really know what to expect of Jonas. I hadn't seen him race before. I know that he was the 250cc world champion, which highlights how much potential he has. But he's quite a tall rider, but he's got a really nice style on the bike, very natural. He'd never seen Paul's track before, but he went out and beat some really good riders, and he beat Richard Lawson in one of them. So that highlights how much potential this guy has got. To have him on a 5 average at reserve for Berwick is certainly a bonus, and it's a bonus for British Speedway. You know, we're at a stage where we've already discussed we have a shortage of riders, so to get people like him over here and into team places is good for British Speedway as a whole. So I'm excited to watch him, not just on Saturday, but to see where his career goes over the next few years, because I think he can go quite a long way.
Yeah, so that's Berwick's trip to Redcar on Friday, and then, of course, Berwick in action on the Saturday, taking on the Poole Pirates. Now, the start time for this match has been delayed by 30 minutes. It's going to start at 7:30. Advertised to start at 7. It's now 7:30. To give you extra chance to get from Glasgow down to Berwick. Now, why might you be going to Glasgow? Well, of course, it's the test match. Great Britain taking on a rest of the world side. That starts at 3 o'clock in the afternoon at Ashfield. And hopefully you'll be able to nip in on your way back. If you're heading back south, call in at Sheffield Park, just off the A1, of course. And you'll be taking Berwick versus Poole as well. So they're giving an extra half hour to try and make it a bit more comfortable on that journey. The Great Britain side, by the way, will feature Charles Wright, Craig Cook, Carl Howarth, Tom Brennan, and the rest of the world features Jason Doyle, Norik Bladorn, Max Frick, Luke Becker, Rasmus Jensen, Dylan Rummel. A couple of changes to the Great Britain lineup with the injuries to Dan Bewley and Jordan Palin, who are due to be part of it. Those changes are to be announced at the time of recording. A word about Leicester. They're not riding this week. They're back in action next week. They also will be on BSN as they take on the Edinburgh Monarchs at the Paul Chapman & Sons Arena. Let's hear from Stuart Dixon right now after his side's win against Oxford, their final away meeting of the regular season.
Stuart, really enjoyable meeting. You said you wanted to win here, and you did in a great Heat 15.
Yep, it was a great meeting. I thought it was a great advert for the championship. I said we did want to win here. We wanted to finish our final away league meeting, David, with a win. We got the win. It was nip and tuck throughout. How a good meeting should be, and all come down to Heat 15. And really tough first bend. No quarter arsenal given by 4 top championship riders. And we we managed to get the 5-1 and get 3 points. So obviously very pleased for a Leicester perspective. Yeah.
Did you have a discussion over who to put in Heat 15? You've got 3 good Heat leaders. Kyle crashed in his first one, but had a couple of wins. Was it always going to be Ritchie and Nick?
I wanted to see the outcome of Heat 13, sort of thing. But I felt that Nick had started our strongest skater, Ritchie had finished our strongest skater as the meeting went on. So I plumped for Ritchie and Nick even before a new choice of gates. When we got the choice of gates, I was going to go Ritchie off at gate 2. Ritchie is my sort of go-to rider when I need a job done to clamp somebody. When they picked 1 and 3, Ritchie was the man to go to for the clamping job. In gate 2, he managed to do it. It doesn't always happen, but he managed to do it. And Nick got a stormer off of gate 4, which is a hard part as well, because when somebody does that job, you've got a responsibility then to reward that rider by being there when he looks for you, coming off of gate 2. He managed to get there, and superb, really pleased. Fantastic away support tonight, massive away support, and so pleased to get the 3 points. Obviously we can still be caught, by a couple of clubs, but so very well pleased obviously to get the 3 points.
Just finally, obviously you've got 2 more home matches now. If you win them, I wouldn't have thought you could be caught unless someone has an incredible run of away wins. So the prospects are that you should be top of the table come a month or so's time.
Well, mathematically I think maybe Glasgow can still catch us, so I'm not going to go counting our chickens just yet, but it was important that we won tonight. We obviously still got Edinburgh and Berwick to finish off our home league campaign, so you never know what can happen in a home match, so we'll not get too carried away. That's the away matches done. We'll concentrate on the home matches when they come round, but I wouldn't say it's an unassailable lead at the top, but it's certainly it's looking good for a Leicester perspective, but it'll count for nothing when the playoffs come. We've got to start again, but we do want to finish top because we do want to get picked when it comes around, but there's a lot of racing still to be done yet, so we'll not get carried away, that's for sure.
Thanks, Stuart. Thank you.
Yeah, we've counted your chickens for you, Stuart, and actually mathematically even Plymouth can currently overhaul Leicester at the top if they won absolutely everything by the maximum possible, which is unlikely, but mathematically any of the top 4 could still finish top. But I think as Dave mentioned in that, really realistically you're probably looking at Poole, Glasgow or Leicester, but even then they're going to have to win all of their matches in hand, aren't they? And but that said, Stuart's not going to be resting on his laurels, and those remaining fixtures in the next couple of weeks are certainly going to be an insurance policy for him.
Yes, Stuart Dixon, their team manager, really likes to win, and he won't be going into that fixture with anything but a large victory as his plan. So they have a really good home track advantage. That's really going to play into their court when it comes to playoffs. Stuart's aware of that. He tends to prepare his track, which suits his home riders as well. So the one thing I guess that they're working against them is they've finished their fixtures pretty quickly, and we're still a little while from playoffs. So it's important for that team as well to use this time to keep fit, race fit. Obviously they've signed Max Clegg as well, which brings him up to a full 7 again. Max, again, very capable rider at reserve. So, they're at the top of the league for a reason. Probably my favourites now for the league, but there are teams capable of beating them over 2 legs. So, let's see where that one goes.
Just finally, I'd like to mention the Scunthorpe team manager, Dave Peat, who underwent surgery this week to remove his cancer, being diagnosed with bowel cancer, as was revealed on the team social media. Dave Peat, a former Speedway referee, has been with the Scunthorpe Scorpions as their boss since 2013, after previously taking charge of Hull and Berwick, and missed Sunday's home win over Edinburgh. Kings Lynn's co-promoter Dale Allett stood in. Just a word from you, Ben, about Dave, someone that you've locked horns with, I suppose, in Speedway over the years many times.
Yeah, Dave's a lovely guy. He loves the Speedway. He's been around at Scunthorpe and around Speedway for a long time. So that's awful news. And send my best wishes to Dave and his family, and hope he makes a speedy recovery.
Well, let's hear from Dale Allett then, getting back in the saddle as a team manager, at least for the day, standing in for Dave Peat. He's been talking about answering that call to step in as team manager and his experience as his Scunthorpe team took on the Edinburgh Monarchs and won. He's been speaking with Andy Mitchell.
Yeah, I think it's always nice to keep your hand in, and everybody telling me today that we had no chance with the team that we got against Edinburgh always gives you that little bit more motivation and satisfaction if you come away with a win.
And it didn't start particularly well, but the grade was an important part of it, and then Heat 7, the changes that you made, obviously Sam Masters dropping out as well, was a factor, but a weakened side just kept going and going and going, didn't they?
Yeah, we said at the start, we need to win if you got any hope of the playoffs, and yeah, we moved things around. It was a little bit hard on Connor because you're taking Connor out and he went from Heat 2 to 11, which is never ideal, but just felt off game 4 we needed to get that momentum and keep it going, and Heat 7 and 8 were quite big for us, and fortunately it worked out. You can be a hero or zero if it doesn't work, but you've got to try these things, and it worked today.
So quite a few fixtures ahead in British Speedway. Looking ahead to Wednesday then, once again we'll run through them all. Birmingham versus Glasgow, Oxford versus Plymouth in the Championship. Then on Thursday, just the one fixture, the Premiership Pairs Round 3 at King's Lynn. Friday, it's Edinburgh versus Poole and Redcar versus Berwick. Saturday, we've got Berwick versus Poole, Leicester versus Oxford in the National League. And don't forget the Test match, Great Britain versus the rest of the world at Glasgow at 3 o'clock on Saturday. On Sunday in the National League, it's Kent versus Berwick. And then on Monday, back to the Premiership, and it is BELLE Vue versus King's Lynn, Peterborough versus Wolverhampton. And then next Tuesday, we begin the Summer Trophy Series, which is Plymouth versus Birmingham in that first round in that group. And then the return the night after, that's next Wednesday, the 13th of July. But we'll talk a little bit more about that next week, of course, as we get into the Summer Trophy. My thanks to our guest this week, Ben Duffill. It's a busy week ahead on BSN. 3 fixtures, as we mentioned, the Premiership Pairs, and then Edinburgh versus Poole, Berwick versus Poole as well. So strap yourself in for the ride.
Yeah, that's right. So we're busy in July, but we're only going to get busier as we come into sort of September as well. But no, it's great. It's great to be involved in these meetings as well, and to be able to showcase it to, like I said, not just the UK, but to the whole world and fans who can't necessarily make those meetings. It's been, in my opinion, one thing that kind of a missed trick for British Speedway, that we haven't been able to broadcast those meetings. So to be able to have all 10 and show the very best that the championship has to offer is a great thing, and a massive privilege for us to be able to give that to people and to work with the clubs to bring those meetings to a wider audience.
Plus, you've got all of the playoffs. You've got the Championship Riders Final, the Championship Pairs, the Championship Summer Trophy Final as well.
Yep, all the big events. That's it, and these are events people want to see, and I think especially with the Championship League Riders Championship Final, with it being in Poole on a Wednesday, that's going to be logistically quite difficult for some fans to get to. So it does open it up to people who otherwise wouldn't be able to watch that, and it's one of the highlights of the calendar, isn't it? It's something that it should be accessible to everybody. So you're really, really happy that we've been able to do that as well.
It's been a pleasure having you on. Thanks a lot, and all the best for your busy week ahead, and I'm sure we'll speak soon.
Thanks, Ian. Pleasure.
And thanks to you for your company as well. We'll join you next Wednesday for the next episode of No Breaks, No Fear. Have a great week.
No Breaks, No Fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Sports Social Podcast Network.